Welcome to a coder's field guide to ICD 10cm conventions. This presentation is designed to help you understand the foundational rules that guide accurate, compliant, and defensible ICD 10cm coding. Disclosure. This presentation is intended for educational purposes only. It does not constitute legal, compliance, or billing advice. Always refer to official coding guidelines, organizational policies, and regulatory requirements when making coding decisions. The ICD 10cm classification system is built on a strict hierarchy of rules. At the top of that hierarchy are the asterisk conventions and instructions within the codebook itself. These conventions always take precedence over the official guidelines whenever there is a conflict. Because they are embedded directly into the structure of the classification, they function as mandatory formatting rules. Mastering these conventions is essential for accurate code assignment. ICD 10cm is divided into two major components: the alphabetic index and the tabular list. The alphabetic index is your starting point. It is an alphabetical listing of medical terms and their corresponding codes. It includes the index of diseases and injury, the index of external causes, the table of neoplasms, and the table of drugs and chemicals. The tabular list is where you verify your code. It is organized alphanumerically by body system or condition. Every code must be confirmed in the tabular list to ensure accuracy and compliance with all instructional notes. ICD 10cm codes follow a very specific structure designed to ensure accuracy and consistency. A category contains 3 characters, a subcategory contains 4 or 5 characters, and a full code can contain anywhere from 3 to 7 characters. Only full codes are reportable, and 3-character categories are only used when no further subdivisions exist. Some codes also require a 7th character, which identifies the type of encounter or the episode of care. When a 7th character is required, it must always appear in the 7th position. If the base code doesn't contain enough characters, the placeholder X is used to fill the empty spaces. This placeholder is not optional, it is a required part of the code whenever the tabular list indicates its use. A code missing its required 7th character, or missing the placeholder needed to position it correctly, is considered invalid. Ensuring proper structure, including placeholders and extenders, is essential for accurate ICD 10cm coding. ICD 10cm uses 2 important abbreviations, NEC and NOS. NEC, or Not Elsewhere Classifiable, represents Other Specified. Use NEC when the provider documents a specific condition, but the classification does not offer a more specific code. The alphabetic index will direct you to an other code in these cases. NOS, or Not Otherwise Specified, represents unspecified. Use NOS when the documentation does not provide enough detail to assign a more specific code. Think of NEC as, the documentation is specific, but the code set isn't. And NOS as, the documentation isn't specific, so the code can't be either. ICD 10cm uses punctuation to guide code selection. Brackets are used in the tabular list to enclose synonyms or explanatory phrases. In the alphabetic index, brackets identify manifestation codes, which must always be sequenced second. Parentheses enclose non-essential modifiers, words that may appear in documentation but do not affect code assignment. Colons appear after incomplete terms in the tabular list. They indicate that one or more of the listed modifiers must be present for the code to apply. The word "and" in a code title means "and or." For example, a code describing tuberculosis of bones and joints applies to bones, joints, or both. The word "with" or "in" implies a causal relationship. ICD 10cm presumes that conditions linked by, with, are related, even if the provider does not explicitly state the connection. Only when documentation clearly states the conditions are unrelated should they be coded separately. Includes notes appear immediately under a 3-character code title. They clarify or further define the content of that category. Inclusion terms list specific conditions that fall under a particular code. These terms may be synonyms or examples of conditions that map to that code. Importantly, inclusion terms are not exhaustive. Additional terms found only in the alphabetic index may also be assigned to the same code. In ICD 10cm, excludes notes play a critical role in guiding accurate code assignment. Excludes 1 means, not coded here. It represents a pure exclusion, indicating that the 2 conditions cannot occur together. The only exception is when the documentation clearly shows the conditions are unrelated. When an excludes one note applies to two related conditions, you must assign only the code referenced in the excludes one note. For example, under code G63, polyneuropathy and diseases classified elsewhere, the tabular list includes an excludes one note for B02.23, postherpetic polyneuropathy. This means that if both conditions are documented together, G63 is not coded. Instead, you assign B02.23, because the excludes one note directs you to use that code exclusively. Excludes 2, on the other hand, means not included here. The excluded condition is not part of the code, but the patient may have both conditions at the same time. In these cases, it is acceptable, and often necessary, to assign both codes when clinically appropriate. Understanding the difference between excludes 1 and excludes 2 ensures accurate, compliant coding and prevents invalid code combinations. Some conditions require two codes, one for the underlying cause, and one for the manifestation. The etiology code will include a use additional code note. The manifestation code will include a code first note. Manifestation codes often contain the phrase, in diseases classified elsewhere, and they can never be listed as the principal diagnosis. In the alphabetic index, the etiology code appears first, followed by the manifestation code in brackets. C is a mandatory instruction. You must go to the referenced main term to locate the correct code. C also is advisory. It suggests another term that may provide additional useful entries, but it is not required if the original term provides the needed code. Code also indicates that two codes may be needed to fully describe a condition. This note does not provide sequencing direction. Sequencing depends on the circumstances of the encounter. ICD-10-CM coding is based on the provider's diagnostic statement. If the provider documents that a patient has a condition, that statement is sufficient for code assignment. Coders should not apply clinical criteria or challenge a diagnosis based on their own interpretation of the medical record. If documentation is unclear or conflicting, the correct action is to query the provider. To ensure accuracy in ICD-10-CM coding, always verify the code in the tabular list. Use required placeholders and seventh characters. Follow excludes 1 and excludes 2 notes carefully. Respect sequencing instructions for etiology and manifestation. Presume causal relationships indicated by, with. Base code assignment on the provider's documentation. Query the provider when clarification is needed. Mastering these conventions ensures precision, compliance, and confidence in ICD-10-CM coding. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video as we continue building your coding knowledge one concept at a time.